Hi, welcome to another video by PharmD&Me. Today we're going to have another intro to hospital pharmacy, and this is going to be over how to use GlobalRph. For those of you that don't know about this website, it's excellent. This is probably going to be how to use GlobalRph part 1. I'm just going to kind of hit the ones that I'll use every single day, and then maybe we can do a part 2 in the future where we'll show some of the other features of the website, but I think the video would get too long if we tried to touch on everything. So I'm going to switch over here to GlobalRph. All right, so this is the main screen here, just globalrph.com. Sometimes some web browsers will have a hard time with this website. I know the Chrome that I use at work will actually, it struggles with it because there's ad blockers on it. But if you use Internet Explorer at where I work, it works fine. I'm currently at home and I'm using Chrome and it works fine. So I think it just depends on whether or not you have like the ad blocker going. As you can see, there's ads along the sides here. So this is the home screen. Um, this left side is useful. I haven't used it as much, but there's plenty of information here. Like say geriatrics, you'd click on it, and there would be like maybe the Beers criteria if you just want to know if whatever drug you're on is on the Beers criteria. There's things of that nature. There's like prostate international prostate syndrome score. You can go through here. There's all kind of things. Like I said, I haven't used this as much. The left side here, what I mostly use will be the dilutions. And where you're working, they will probably have dilutions, more on like a protocol. Like you will mix this with this, Levafed with D5250, or you may even have pre-mix bags, so which you don't have to deal with at all. But there will always be something that you're going to run across. Maybe they don't. Usually your hospital does something IV push, but the physician orders it as IV piggyback, and you just don't know how to mix it IV piggyback because you're not used to it. Or maybe you're just a new pharmacist and you're not sure exactly how things work. So you can go to this dilutions button up here. Let it load again. All right, and then it is in alphabetical order, and this is something I kind of wish that they would work on because sometimes it's by generic name, and then sometimes it'll be by brand name. So like moxifloxacin, you would actually need to find it under the Avalox, which can be kind of confusing. There's iron sucrose, which I believe is under Vinifer. Vinifer. So yeah, there's. I wish they would kind of either stick with generic or wish with brand, but I mean either way, it's not a big deal. It just takes a click or two to find it. So let's go back to the A's and let's just click on amiodarone. It's a common one you'll see in the hospital. So they kind of just they give you an example on um, how to mix it. So the top little section here will be what you can mix it in. So this will be it can only go in D5W. Um, and then let's see this section here. The next section, that first one will be the bolus dose. So 150 milligrams and 100 mLs over 10 minutes. Chances are your hospital will have these in pre-mixed bottles, but maybe they don't, or pre-mixed bags. Maybe they don't, so you could mix this here. You'd put 150, which there's a vial of 150. You'd mix it with 100 mLs of D5W, and you would put it over 10 minutes. And then this next section here will kind of give you further dilutions. So after you run this bolus dose with amiodarone, you would then typically see this 900 milligram and 500 ml bag, which you would need to mix. I think they do have it pre-mixed, but I'm not 100% sure on that. So you would mix this vial here. So there's a 900 milligram vial. There's also 450 milligram vials. So you could either do two of the 450s or one of the 900s. You'd mix it with 500 mLs of D5W. And for the dilution, I guess this one's a little more complicated, but It can be ran in a couple different ways. You'll run it for 6 hours at 1 milligram a minute, and then you'll run it at 18 hours at, or not milligram per minute, but then you'd run it at 18 hours at half that rate. Let's see if we can find that down here. So yeah, so this section here, it's a 24-hour infusion. So you would run the 150 milligram bag over 10 minutes. And then you would run, I guess it was a milligram per minute. You would run 6 hours of 1 milligram per minute, so over the next 6 hours. And so you would do 360 milligrams of the bag. And then you would run the rest of it at a half milligram per minute for the remaining 18 hours. Hopefully that's not too confusing, but if you've worked in a hospital, you will see this. So again, this is kind of a good teaching point anyway. So for amiodarone, you'll usually see this bolus dose, 150 over 10 minutes. And then you will see 1 milligram per minute for 6 hours. And then after that, you will see a half milligram per minute over 18 hours. So let's go back up to the top, back to the two dilutions. Let's see, let's try to find another one. Let's see, nafcillin will be a good one, a little easier. So nafcillin, you get an order for nafcillin, run it piggyback. You're not sure how to do it, you can go here. It can be in D5 or NS, doesn't matter. If it's 500 milligrams up to 1 gram, you would put it in 50 mLs over 30 minutes. If it's anything over a gram, you'll put it in 100 mLs over an hour. And there's more to it. They kind of give you some basic information too. It'll tell you kind of what bugs you can run it against. It has indications here. Obviously, NAF is for staph, contraindications, some warnings. It also kind of tell you how it's applied, give you NDC numbers, things of that nature. Sometimes it'll tell you how it's stored and storage. The thing with this one is it's not, you would want to use something like Micromedics or Lexicomp for a lot of this information. But if you just need like quick information, easy information, it's not a bad spot to go. All right, let's go back up to the top. Let's do one more. Clicked on an advertisement. Hold on. Okay. Yeah, let's try to find one more here. All right, let's go with Lasix. No, let's go with metoprolol. All right, low pressor. So for this one, if you were going to run a drip, you would put it in, you would do 0 to 20 milligrams in 50 mLs and run it over 30 minutes. 20 to 40 milligrams and 100 ml over 60 minutes. It even kind of gives you an oral to IV conversion, which is nice. Again, so here's some reasons why you would use low pressor for an MI, at least for the IV drip. So yeah, I mean, there's a lot of good information from here. Storage, I was hoping to find one with a little more storage information, but that's okay. So yes, I will use this Dilutions one a lot. Almost every day I will use this Dilutions one. When you start working long enough, you kind of get to the point where you have them memorized or you know what your hospital's protocol. But like I said, there's usually one thing a day that maybe you just want to even just double check yourself with, and you can always go here. The next one I'll use a lot is this Oncology one. It actually has a lot of the same information, but this one's just for oncology drugs. So like here's Avastin, bevacizumab. It can only go in NS. You'll take the prescribed dose. You'll mix it in 100 mLs of NS, and you'll run it over 30 to 90 minutes. So yeah, if I happen to be working the infusion orders that day, I will absolutely use this for almost every single order that comes over, because I don't do IV every day and I can always double check myself. And I just think it helps. Here's a good one with storage. So dilute the Avastin solution, can be stored from 2 to 6 degrees Celsius for up to 8 hours, things of that nature. So yeah, the oncology one I will use, like I said, if I'm working the infusion orders that day, I'll use this uh, for basically every order. Um, it's very helpful. Sometimes some of the newer drugs you won't find here. You can try to find them under the dilutions section. And then if you can't find it here, then you would want to go to the package insert. Um, and then finally, the last one that I use on a daily basis, and I want to learn how to use these a little bit more. Maybe this labs button. Like I said, I would like to use this more. Just haven't had time. But like I said, I know that these are all here. I just need to kind of uh, find time in my work schedule to look these up and get better acquainted with it. So like here's one, the hemoglobin section will tell you kind of what lab values you're looking for, things of that nature. So yeah, it can be good. H1C or A1C, sorry, kind of give you pre-diabetic and diabetic and things of that nature. All right, so the last tab that I'll use here on a daily basis will be calculators. Um, I mean, there's a whole host of them. Again, they're kind of in alphabetical order, so you'd have to get used to looking for them. Um, but yeah, so the one that I'll use is this original vancomycin aminoglycoside dosing. They have a new one using the AUC. My hospital hasn't adopted this yet, um, and so we actually use this here. Now, if you watch my vancomycin video, I kind of go over the steps that I use when dosing vancomycin. I'm just going to make somebody up here. Let's just do a 77-year-old male. Let's say their kidney function is 1.1. They're 165 centimeters and they weigh 87 kilograms. Um, Using the Cockcroft Galt ideal body weight, it's set as the default. I'll usually plug in something here like 35. You're not really worried about peaks, but it's what the system used to calculate. Maybe a trough around 15. Volume distribution, I usually just change it to 0.7. And then for the infusion time, an hour and a half. I mean, you can choose the actual one, but like I said, this is all just estimates. The serum creatinine level is just an estimate. When you calculate this Cockcroft-Gault, again, you're plugging into an equation. It's more or less an estimate. So you don't have to worry too much about nailing these down perfectly. But if you want to put in the infusion, the exact infusion time you're going to put it into, you can. Um, I typically run my vancomycins a little slower. Haven't ever had an issue. 125 mLs an hour for almost every bag is what I put it on. Never had an issue with it. If you want to, you could plug in loading dose. I don't usually mess with that, and then I'll click calculate. All right, and then you'll kind of scroll down, and then if you look in this section where it says recommended dose and predicted levels, so it is recommending a 1,320 milligram dose over 20 hours. So that's not a dose that you're going to give a patient, right? So then this next section here, it'll kind of give you where you can take these numbers and kind of guess. So I'm going to go up on the dose itself. So I'm going to go from 1,320 to 1,500. And then I will actually extend out the interval. So they're saying 24 hours or 20 hours, so I'm going to make it longer. Let's try 24 hours. And then you click the green button, calculate final regimen. And then so this will give us a peak of 36, a trough of 13. You know, perfect, right? I mean, like that's perfectly fine. Wouldn't mess with that, at all. Like I was kind of alluding to earlier, I would usually kind of do a lot of these steps in my head and I would see what number comes out and then, or not in my head, but kind of just using my own calculations. And then I'll come over here to GlobalRph and I'll use this calculator. And if both of them are the same, then I know I'm good. If, say, the dosing that I calculated versus the dosing that they calculated was way off, maybe I'll ask a second opinion. I'll ask another pharmacist. Maybe they know something that I don't know, or maybe I was just forgetting a step or whatever. That doesn't happen very often, but when it does, and it does, it's a good way to double check yourself. The GlobalRph vancomycin dosing. So there's other ones in here. Let's see if I can find the creatinine clearance one. Sometimes I'm better at finding these. Okay, here's like ideal body weight and adjusted body weight. This is a good one. So, you know, they have this first step in inches, which is kind of silly, but so let's just say 68 inches tall. I mean, you can change it to centimeters, but and then let's just say 82 kilograms. It's a male. You hit calculate. So it'll spit out your ideal body weight, adjusted body weight, your percentage over ideal body weight, all those kind of things. So it's nice. It even gives you the calculations that they used. So yeah, definitely nice. Um, so yeah, I'll use the calculators at least every day also. So yeah, so that's basically what I do on a daily basis in terms of global RPH. Like I said, there's some other ones that I want to get used to using, just need a little bit more practice. So we're going to call this global RPH part one, or how to use global RPH part one, and then maybe we'll put together a part two and a part three in future videos. So please like and subscribe, and let me know if you had any questions.